Valentine's Day on my house, people. So a couple days ago, we did kind of a really quick update video, and today we've got some more information. So I don't know if anybody saw the kind of funny Dana White burn on the Howie Mandel podcast, where Howie Mandel was kind of verbally blowing him at the beginning of the podcast, and Dana White pulled a very Dana White move and just kind of got up and said "F this" and walked off. So I thought that was kind of funny, to just kind of a personal humorous moment to me. But anyways, so getting into the lead up is the shootings that happened that we were leading off with in the previous video. So the video at the Joel Osteen mega church. So we've got some more information. Janice Yvonne Moreno, who is actually Jeffrey Escalante, he was a transsexual and was a prior felon, and based on changing his name was able to purchase firearms, and walked into this church and started to shoot up the place with a 5-year-old child. The child is in critical condition, does not look like the little one's going to live, which sucks. And the prior felonies were for the firearms charges, previous firearms charges, forgery, and assaulting a police officer. So outside of Jeffrey Escalante, the shooter, being killed, a 57-year-old completely independent party was injured, but that person is going to live. And so it still looks like 2 off-duty police officers were the ones that were able to shoot and kill Jeffrey Escalante. I still think it's strange that the news keeps saying it's a she when it's a he, but this is all this DEI, weird, kind of stuff. I mean, look, this is nonsense. This is clearly a dude that thinks it's a chick, and everybody wants to call for more rules against firearms, when look, this person is a multiple felon from El Salvador and shouldn't have been able to purchase a firearm anyways, and just by changing their name and calling themselves a chick was able to illegally purchase a firearm. So this isn't a gun crime issue. This is a mental health issue, just like the vast majority of these other ones. And again, the Super Bowl celebration shooting, there's 3 in custody, 22 wounded, 1 dead. 1 gun has already been found. Some innocent bystanders that were at the celebration tackled one, and there's still plenty of info coming in. This Travis Kelce football player has already started, parroting, these coin phrases of, oh, we should have, stricter gun laws. And of course, you have good old Governor Newsom, the slime bag himself, not even waiting for the bodies to be cold, and he's already up on his soapbox asking for more gun restrictions. And he's not going to miss a beat on trying to use any moment he can to try to violate people's constitutional rights. So you can always count on Gavin Newsom to try to use any moment he can to try to grab at people's Second Amendment rights. I mean, the guy does it every fucking time he possibly can. So it's a never-ending grab at the Second Amendment for that dude. He'll overstep your rights any possible chance he can. And look at what he's done with the state of California. He's turned it into an absolute cesspool. So, but speaking of cesspools, let's go to Disney. Disney's Bob Iger has got recording out now where he's being interviewed and he's bragging about his DEI movies and how he's intentionally making these choices to make all these DEI movies. But he's saying some very like what I think is weird stuff about how he intentionally made Black Panther and he did it for these reasons, and he's trying to like grandstand about how he did these movies for a political statement, and and I just think it's I don't know. It just sounds very wrong to me where he's like trying to take credit for these IPs that were around before he was, and he's trying to take, credit for morphiditing these IPs that are costing Disney billions of dollars in, stock, and millions, if not billions of dollars in just revenue, and millions, if not more, in, actual account streamers and things like that. And just if you really pay attention to the way he's wording these things, it's almost like he's trying to take credit for, this like crusade into this DEI stuff, and it's just it sounds very off-putting to me, and it almost sounds very disingenuous, and I don't know, if I was somebody of, another race, I would take it as very rude and kind of racist to me. But what do I know? I'm just a ginger, so it is what it is. But I think people should really pay attention to the way he's wording these things, and look at it from the larger view. I think it's like a lot of these other things. It's like when you hear like old white folks say like, "Oh, we have to do this for the X community." It's like, why the fuck do you have to do anything for that community? Leave them alone. They're people too. They can do it for themselves. Like, what's this fucking savior complex shit that people are trying to pull? Like, you know, they're people too. They're just as smart, just as capable, and this nonsense about having to hold their hand or do it for them, like they're incapable of doing it for themselves, I think is I think that's more racist than anything. That's just my opinion. Um, and that's kind of like this, Black national anthem thing that's at the Super Bowl. Like, there's statistical value that goes along with what I'm about to say, but uh, the Black national anthem, they took a Democracy Institute poll that says 61% is not in support for a second national anthem. It's not only causing more division at a time where we need more unity, but it's also regressive behavior. Uh, is it like it's saying that Black Americans aren't Americans? Like, that's my personal question. It's like one national anthem is for all of us. We're all Americans. If you're a green card holder, or if you're born here, you're an American. Um, if you are a citizen of the United States, the national anthem is for you. And if you're not a citizen and you're trying to become one, or if you're striving to become one, that national anthem, you should be striving to be able to sing that for yourself one day. And so having a second national anthem, that's not causing unity, that's causing division. So I don't understand why having a second one, once again, that seems divisive to me. And once again, I want to make sure that I point out that I'm not trying to take a dig at the people that wrote it or the people that are singing it. And I don't really think that the other people that are, taking, a point with this are saying that the people that wrote it, the people that are singing it, are the issue. I think it's just the fact that there are two of them that is the issue. It's the division of it, right? Like, we all have music that we like or music that we enjoy, but it's the fact that there are two that just seems more, exclusionary, right? When we all need to be more unified. And, over the past, 10 years, everything seems to be more dividing than inclusionary. And I know everybody, likes to coin these phrases. Oh, this is inclusionary, or this is this or this is that, but it's not. It's like we have 79 different kinds of gay people, but we only have one kind of straight people. And if you don't, if you don't accept me for my one of 79 different kinds of gay, then you're a, misogynistic, racist, bigot, homophobe, cis, this, that, the other. I mean, you can't even keep up with all these different phrases nowadays. And, you're automatically to be hated and all this other stuff. And it's like, no, I can disagree with you just because I don't agree with you. I don't have to hate you and you don't have to hate me. I can just disagree with you. And again, like you hear me saying all the time, like, my freedom doesn't end where your feelings begin. And this is just another one of those things where I don't think the melanin content in your skin should make you sing a different national anthem. Just because you're black or Asian or Indian or, Pakistani or whatever, if you're an American citizen and your lineage is from a different ethnicity, doesn't make you less American. You're still an American, but you just have a different genetic lineage, So I just, I think there's a lot of these things that are, very intentionally put on the mainstream media to be dividing us instead of bringing us together. And, that also comes into this next point where, in Texas, the University of Houston has released a poll that shows that Biden's border policy as well as the Bidenomics have shown that Biden's poll numbers are falling with Latinos by a 47-41 margin. Biden is losing to Texas Latinos, but also just Latinos in general in the vast majority of the other states. And, but I think it's interesting to point out Latinos are a very diverse voting bloc. Like, you can't just say like all Latinos vote X way. Like, Latinos culturally are, pretty conservative. They're conservative culturally. Most of them are Catholic, from what I've been told by like a lot of my Latino friends. A lot of them are Catholic. They may not be necessarily practicing Catholic, but the vast majority of them are, raised Catholic, and or at least generally raised Catholic adjacent. So, you can't just, broad stroke them like, oh, they're going to do this, right? Just like a lot of, the Black community is Christian, but once again, they're not all going to vote just one way because, they get told to. I mean, Latino people and Black people have their own minds. So I think it's pretty dumb that the Democratic Party is just like, oh, because you're Latino or because you're Black, you're going to vote this way or that way. I just think that's very ignorant of the Democratic Party to be that way. And now that there's so much information out there, and there's platforms like Rumble and platforms like X and podcasts like this one, or many of the other ones that are far larger than mine are out there. I think that is starting to get the word out there that, the Democratic Party is the party that was pro-slavery. Klan is a Democratic Party. And, it's starting to get the information out there. The Democratic Party hasn't done shit for the ethnic community. I mean, they're the party that brought the crime bill. They're the party that brought you, food stamps, and the party that brought you all of these programs and that have kept the cycle continuing generation after generation after generation. Now, just like NATO, just like a lot of other programs, unions, at a certain point in time, these things were good things that needed to be had at that time. But things need to evolve. Things need to change. Just like immigration policy, at a certain point in time, the way they were was a good thing. But things need to evolve over time and need to change with the times. We can't just stick to the same things that they were. Now, the core intent may need to stay, but you can't just be like, nope, this is the way we've always done it. This is the way it needs to stay, right? But, that doesn't work for everything. But we also need to be able to understand that there may be things that need to evolve over time. Um, Trump won the Nevada caucus, which, it looks like he's going to win the South Carolina caucus as well. We're going to see if Nikki Haley's going to still keep grasping at straws, or if she's finally going to back out of the race and, believe in reality. Obviously, she doesn't really understand how math works. So who knows what's going to happen there, but we're going to see how that works out here pretty quickly. And the thing that's funny today, which I think is kind of hysterical, which led to the title of this video, we had the Democrat Senate put together this, funding for the Ukraine bill, and it went to the leader of Congress, who's a Republican, and he's like, I'm not even bringing this to the floor. We're not going to vote on it because it's not going to make it through. And so right after that, there was this big national security scare, and nobody could tell you what it was about, and everybody was chirping about it all day. And nobody could tell you how serious it was, but it was serious, but it wasn't that serious. And then it was serious again, and everybody was talking about rockets, and then it was ICBMs, and then it was, space rockets. And, then it's like, well, they've been telling us that Russia's been using World War II era tanks and weapons and munitions and things like that against Ukraine, and they can't get anybody to fight the war, and Ukraine's been mollywopping them, but we've been hemorrhaging money to them because they're not mollywopping them enough. And then they're saying, oh, well, Russia's going to be launching these crazy advanced space rockets to take over, satellites, and, but it's not an immediate crisis, but it's an immediate crisis. And, but if we fund Ukraine, then these space rockets aren't going to be an issue. But it's about Russia. Now, is this because we didn't fund this massive funding bill to go to Ukraine? Is it because Tucker Carlson interviewed Vladimir Putin and our government didn't want us to hear Vladimir Putin speak because he's not as much of a bloodthirsty nutcase as our government wanted us to believe him to be? I'm no Vladimir Putin supporter or apologist by any stretch of the imagination. I'm not a communist supporter at all. But you can't deny the guy's pretty sharp. He's very intelligent, and he's still pretty with it in his head, and he's sharp. But our president is a Muppet. So now all of a sudden we have a Russian Star Wars program that's Trump's fault. Anyways, on that note, we'll see you guys on the next video. Happy Valentine's Day. Hopefully you're not in the doghouse and sleeping on the couch and you didn't forget, but if you did, take it on the chin. We'll see you on the next one.